All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Science for our third week in our virtual learning experience together. Last week, we discussed two of the five different types of vertebrates. I gave a lesson over mammals and birds. This week, I'm going to give a quick lesson about the remaining three types of vertebrates. Remember, vertebrates are animals that have a backbone, okay? Last week we talked about mammals and birds. This week I'm going to talk about fish, reptiles, and amphibians, okay? So what I want you to do right now is to please follow along with me as I read through the textbook pages. You can follow along with me in the video on the screen. I'm also, just like last week, I'm going to send a copy that you can pull up and read, follow along with me at your own pace as well, okay? So first we're going to talk about fish. It says all fish live in either freshwater or saltwater. Their bodies are streamlined to help them move easily through water. Fish have gills instead of lungs. As water flows over their gills, the gills remove oxygen from the water. So fish need oxygen to survive just like people do, just like we do. But the difference is that fish don't have lungs that takes in oxygen like people do, okay? They have gills and that helps them get their oxygen instead of lungs like people have. Most fish have scales that protect their bodies. Fish have fins on their sides, top and bottom, that help them swim. A tail fin helps them move forward in the water. Okay, so once again, this is a little bit blurry, but let's go on ahead and take a look at the picture and review where these labels are that the reading discussed. The different parts of the fish. We have the gills, which you can see they kind of look like little slats right on the side of the eyes here, okay? And this is like the lungs of the fish, okay? So the gills help fish take in that oxygen, okay? Oxygen is in water, just like it is in the air, just looks a little different, okay? And then we have our scales here, which these scales are pretty shiny, okay? The fish is covered in scales. The body of the fish is covered in scales. And then the fins we have right here and on the bottom also, okay? And the fins help the fish swim. Right here on the bottom it says bony fish. Bony fish have skeletons that are made of bone. Okay, so you can see here's an image of a skeleton of a fish. Okay, next page. Let's see if I can. Ooh. All right. Sharks and rays. Oh. The skeletons of sharks and rays are made of cartilage rather than bone. Right now, I want all of you to touch your nose. See how it's kind of bendy? And I want you to touch your ears. Okay? Your ears and your nose have something called cartilage in them. Okay? So the only part of your nose that has actual bone is going to be right here up at the top, but the rest of your nose has cartilage, which is why you can kind of move it around a little bit. Okay, so cartilage, and we're going to discuss the definition now, is a tough, bendable tissue, like the tip of your nose and your ears, okay? So it's bendy, it's not hard bone. Most sharks live in salt water. That's what the caption says. Oh, here's our image of a shark. And then we also have a stingray. How many of you have been to the aquarium, Tampa? And I know Clearwater has a pretty neat aquarium. And it's really neat because you can, they usually have stingrays, right? Or SeaWorld, you can go and actually touch a stingray. They have a neat little area to do that, okay? All right, some rays have a long, thin tail covered with tiny hooks. So you want to be careful of that. Yeah. All right, fish traits. Here are some specific characteristics of our fish. They're cold-blooded. All right, we talked about this a little bit before spring break. Animals that are cold-blooded means that their temperature, it changes based on the temperature surrounding them. So here's an example. An animal that is cold-blooded, if they go outside in Florida on a really hot summer day, their body temperature is going to go up, okay? If we go outside in the middle of a hot Florida sunny afternoon, we're going to feel pretty warm, but our internal temperature is not going to change, okay? Our temperature, animals that are warm-blooded, our temperature remains pretty much the same, okay? And it doesn't change based on the temperature of our surroundings. The same goes with if it's a really, really cold day outside. When humans, warm-blooded animals, walk outside on a cold day, our internal temperature is not going to change. A cold-blooded animal, their temperature will drop, okay? So fish are cold-blooded, which means their temperature changes depending on what the temperature of their surrounding environment is, okay? Gills and fins. Fish have both gills and fins. Remember, fins help them move around in the water, and gills help them get the oxygen they need to survive, okay? And skeletons made of bone or cartilage. That's pretty similar to mammals and particularly humans, right? We have cartilage in our nose and our ears, but the rest of our body, our skeleton, we have our bones, okay? All right, moving right along.